Hello people of the internet, welcome to another Games Done Wrongish Game Pass or Play review. Today we are taking a look at Devil May Cry 5. This game hit Xbox Game Pass on around the 19th of August 2019, so depending on when you watch this, it may or may not still be available via the service. The game follows its roots, offering over-the-top melee and range combat aimed at allowing the player to pull off stunning looking combos while taking down lots and lots of demon spawn. For many fans of the series, this is a return to form, and fans of both the original Devil May Cry series and the earlier DMC games seem to be willing to meet in the middle on this one and appreciate it for what it is. I, on the other hand, would not consider myself a fan of the series. I am a fan of video games and I like to check them out when they come to Game Pass, which after all is why I am here. As such, I went into this game as I would any single-player story-based action game, and because of this I feel a little let down. At first I thought that all of the hype and high reviews for this game were just there because gamers wanted to prove to developers that they still want single-player action games in their games library. I am completely on board with this. I love single-player action games and I want them to remain too. I did feel that this game was letting that type of game down though at first. The reason being, the game takes so long before you are actually allowed to play it. For the first 30 minutes of the game, you get to take control 2 or 3 times for very short periods before being yanked back into a cutscene. Cutscenes that do little more than introduce you to Nero and his female companion Nico, who is a chain-smoking gun nut that is making new arms for Nero to use in combat. Despite the developers showing Nico smoking in almost every scene she plays in, they also make a note of the fact that they do not promote smoking or the use of cigarettes, which obviously is complete nonsense. They use it to try and make Nico look cool, but for me it does not work. I feel she is portrayed as a little simple at times, and the smoking part seems to act as a way to let you know that she is poor and uneducated. Despite this, Nico is used by all of the playable characters in the game, of which there are 3: Nero, V and Dante. When out in the world, whenever you find a telephone box, you can use it to call Nico and she will suddenly appear with her van tires screeching in the most inaccessible parts of town. Most of these telephone boxes are positioned right before a boss fight so that you can ensure you are geared up for the fight. The fact that you have 3 playable characters, each with their own set of tools and skill sets, the game can become very convoluted. Remembering which abilities you are trying to improve for each character can become a chore, especially when each mission completed generally ends up having you gain a whole new weapon or skill set. On a single playthrough, there is no way you can manage all of these abilities to get the most out of them. Some would argue that on the earlier difficulties this is not necessary, as they are a cakewalk, and it's only once you unlock the plethora of difficulties that you need these skills and abilities as much. Now, I can't speak for anyone else, but when I play a single player action game, I like to increase my character's abilities and strengths throughout the initial playthrough, and when I reach the final encounter or mission, I want to be feeling badass, as though nothing can faze me. While there is some sense of this in the initial playthrough, the huge amount of upgrades you will need to overlook leave you feeling like you are not using your character's full potentials. This may be remedied by playing through all of the extra difficulties you unlock as you complete the easier ones, but as I am approaching this via Xbox Game Pass, and I already have a backlog with more hours in it than my life expectancy if I were to reach 200 years old, I simply do not have the time to play this game over and over on all of these settings. As such, I can only review this on a one and done viewpoint. For people like me that want to download it via Game Pass, play through it once and move on to the next game. In this vein, the story is not the best, unfortunately. There is a new big bad in town and you and your band of merry men have to work together to take it down. It may not be completely obvious at first on who is pulling the strings, but it becomes more than obvious before you reach the climax. I feel that each of the 3 characters do bring enough changes in gameplay style to prevent the game becoming too stale and repetitive too early on. I felt that the new character V was the slowest and most boring of the 3 for me. His abilities revolve around his companions that he can summon, which are a panther-type cat, a raven-type bird, and a huge rock demon-type creature. Each of these can be summoned and used to create combos using the melee, ranged, and directional buttons. V himself simply walks around the battlefield from a distance, watching for an opening to deliver the killing blow, as this cannot be performed by the summons, for reasons. The middle-of-the-road character for me is Nero. He has detachable bionic arms that can be swapped around and used in many ways, such as launching rockets, sending out shockwaves, or piercing armour. His sword can also be revved like a motorbike accelerator to increase its damage for a short time, and he also has guns for range combat. For me, the most fun came from playing Dante. He is by far the most over-the-top character from the 3, but this is what makes him fun. If you have seen anything of this game before now, you may have seen the fact that you can gain an ability that allows Dante to attach half a motorbike to each arm and wail on the enemies with it while piecing it together now and then to ride it all over their faces. This looks amazing and is fun at first, but the novelty wears off fairly fast and you will likely find yourself using the sword and gauntlet for melee attacks more than the bike, as they are much faster and easier to chain into combos. Just in case you thought the game was not being silly enough already, you have this.
I'll take that.
Yeah, this ability gives you a hat that you can throw onto the enemy's head. Then, while attacking that enemy, they will drop lots of red orbs for you to pick up and spend at your leisure. Dante does have the best range of abilities for stringing together combos though in my eyes. Each of his tools and abilities have multiple stances and ways to use them. Each melee and ranged item can be switched through quickly, which makes chaining combos a lot of fun. As stated earlier, the game does still gain a lot of praise from fans. Metacritic has the game scoring 87 with a user score of 7.4. The average time to beat the game is coming in at around 11 to 15 hours for the main story campaign. As I stated, I played through this in a one and done manner, flying through it at breakneck speed, and was done in around 8 hours. However, this did not net me many achievements, if that is your thing. The game has 48 achievements as standard for your 1000G, with 51 for 1180G being the maximum at the time when the Bloody Palace DLC is added. As my playthrough was brief and to the point, I only scored 180G, collecting 18 achievements for only 10G each, so this may be worth keeping in mind if you are going into the game to collect achievements. For me, the game looks great and the playstyles feel great to play. However, the story and character development left some things to be desired. If you are a fan of the series and are looking to spend many hours of your Game Pass subscription playing this game, then it may be worthwhile for you. For me though, I would recommend skipping this on Game Pass and picking it up cheap in a sale or something, so that you can plan to get stuck into it properly without the worry that it could leave Game Pass at any time. To get the most from the game via Game Pass, you will need to be dedicated and have a lot of spare time on your hands right now, which sadly I do not. As such, my Game Pass I'll Play review score is 7 out of 10. A great game that is let down a little in the story department and deserves much more attention than I can give it. What do you think? Will you be downloading the game via Game Pass or giving it a miss? Let me know in the comments down below and I will see you next time. If you like this video, please consider watching another. 2 suggestions will be on screen now. Also, if you have not subscribed already, please do so by clicking the icon in the middle of this screen. Every view and subscription will go a long way to helping the channel grow, and in turn will result in more content for you. Thank you, and until the next time, goodbye.